You're now watching a clip from the Inspired by show. You can watch the full episode on our YouTube channel or listen on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to head over there, leave us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed it, and follow the show. What's been the biggest challenge you've faced in your sort of like, you've been in business nearly 5 years. What's been the biggest challenge you faced and how did you overcome it?
Well, as you know, it's a roller coaster, isn't it? Every year there's something, and they might be small or big things. But the biggest thing that happened to me was the second year, month one. We just hit that 100k turnover, and I was like I was on holiday at the time with my family. I'd gone to Vietnam to see my sister who was living there at the time. Now she's in Mexico. As you can see, she's a bit of a jet setter. But I'd had a really good year and I was really excited about the second year. And then the pandemic came. So it was like everything that I was excited about, I had this nervousness, oh God, what's going to happen? And sure enough, I got back from the holiday. Within a few weeks, I'd had clients that are asking to pause, that needed to stop. I'd lost probably half my clients to pausing or stopping in about 6 weeks. But the ones that were good and were staying, we had to change all their stuff as well. So, at the time I got campaigns going into schools, airlines and hospitality. And I was like, literally, they're 3 industries that are probably the hardest hit. So we had to completely change everything we were doing, all the hard work I'd done before I'd gone on holiday. At the time, it was me and one part-time temp that then naturally ended up leaving because she needed to be at home with her family and COVID and everything. Honestly, I'd gone from being on cloud 9 to thinking, oh my God, what now? So at that point, I was like, I can either fight or flight. So I was like, I'm fighting. This is it. I've got to make this work. And I knew, because I'm sensible, because my parents are accountants, that I'd got funds behind me to have a few bad months, if that's what it came to. So I just had to work super hard to try, and I think I probably worked 5 times harder than I would have had to have worked had the pandemic not hit, to get into a really good place. But what happened in that year, and it was a bit of an eye-opener for me as well, because I would have probably done well, but I think I actually did a lot better because I ended up doubling the turnover in the first year of the pandemic, because I had to work so hard, 16, 18-hour days a couple of times, weekends, you name it. That's what happened. I took somebody on, Chris, who's still with me today. We were both working super long hours, but he became like my best friend as well, because we couldn't see anyone do anything. Like, we were just constantly in contact, working together, and it was amazing what came from it. But that was the biggest sort of challenge that came about, and it will be the same for so many businesses. And I didn't even realize how sort of amazing that year ended up being, and how strong my sort of approach to sorting it was, and how it turned out, until a recent event where a couple of people, you had to start telling stories about different things. And one woman nearly cried, and she was like, that's the most amazing thing. Everyone, we all just we gave up, with our businesses. We parked everything. We waited for it to blow over. And there you are doing that. And goes back to the egotistical thing. I don't think like that. I don't talk about it. I just expected that was normal. I just assumed that people that have got a business and they have to change something or pivot or work on, even if they've changed the whole business model, you just do it because that's what I thought was normal. I didn't realize that actually it wasn't normal, but it worked out very well in the end. But yeah, it was hard. That was the year I didn't do a show, funnily enough. I skipped the musicals for that year. But it was really, really important in fact, actually, we were supposed to be going on stage doing All Shook Up, and it got pulled 6 weeks before. So they would have parked it for a year because of COVID. It was a year after I didn't do it. So I had 2 years out. But those 2 years out took the business from being potentially an amazing start, hitting rock bottom, then sort of going back up again. And then everything else that's happened since is just pushing the boundaries, being a bit braver. Now we've got a team of 6. We've got an office, soon to be 7 or 8. I'm actually recruiting for more flamingos in our little headquarters flock there. But yeah, no, it's good. It was a challenge, but it actually turned into a fantastic success story. And at the time, you just didn't know which way it was going to go. So, and it was really hard when you're working with lots of businesses that it didn't quite work out for them. They had to pause or park or whatever. But some of them have come back on now. So it just shows that they never they never wanted to leave. They just had no choice, but everything's sort of settled and they're doing well again as well. So it's good.
What was going through your mind at that point where you had that decision to make? 50% of your business had pretty much paused or stopped, and you're sat there going, what do I do? Like, what was the thought process? Sort of tell us a little bit about that.
Giving up was never an option. It was not. I had not worked that hard for the first year to walk away from it. And also knowing that even getting a job at that point would have been really hard, because there'd have been lots of companies in like tragic scenarios where they were making loads of cuts, redundancies. So it wasn't an option. I was just so grateful for my accountant parents again for keeping me in line with my first year. I never went crazy. I didn't spend stupid money. I didn't pay myself loads and loads. I was just really sensible, and it just gave me that buffer that I had time to fix it. And I was grateful to the clients that could stay, and we just changed things and made it work. And grateful to the clients that, had to pause, but they came back. And also the fact Chris was my savior. He still is. He's my right-hand man in the office. Chris came along at the perfect time, because between us, we brought in loads of new clients. We had to find new ways of working, because obviously everything was remote. You couldn't build those relationships that you can, like we are doing right now. And we have done for the last year, where you're face to face. Everything was harder. The churn rate of clients was higher during the couple of years of the pandemic, because they never actually got to meet me. And it was crazy. You'd speak to people on Zoom or whatever for a year, and you meet them, and in your head you think they're 5'9", a little bit stocky. You go in and they're 6'6", oh my god, you've got these long legs. But it was a completely different way that I had to run it. And what's great now is that it's back to how I always wanted it to be. And we don't know what's around the corner. There's always something going on, and you have to. I think what it taught me is that you can get over it. Like, whatever comes, it might be bad, it might be really, really bad, but there is a solution, and you've just got to try and find what it is. And it might take a week, a month, or a year, but it was worth the fight, because now, I mean, we're nearly 4.5 years old. We're doing very well in terms of turnover. The staff, the clients are brilliant. The success stories, multi-award winning now this year, all in 1 year. Well, actually we had one a couple of years ago, but 3 awards in 1 year, where we wouldn't have even, again, thanks to you, I wouldn't have even thought to be entering awards, because we're just so busy doing everyone else's marketing. And I was like, no, hang on. If we're doing marketing, we need to look good at marketing. We need to actually put stuff on our social media for a change, rather than having months of nothing. So yeah, we've been really pushing ourselves this year, and it's nice. I can go into a networking meeting and people know who I am and who Flamingo are, and I was speaking to somebody yesterday and they mentioned you to me, and I'm like, brilliant. And that's it shows it's working. It shows getting out there and coming back to that bravery piece and getting over those challenges and keep fighting. It was worth it. But like I said, it was never an option to not do it. I just needed to work out how. But I wasn't worried, because mum and dad were so behind me and supportive, and they always have been. And then anyone else that's sort of come into my life, like say Chris, for example, and now I've got an amazing team. But I knew that I'd do it. I just didn't know how. But I just thought I'd figure it out as I go. Wing it.